Hey everyone, Vermont Prepper here. Sitting in Newark Airport on my way to Florida from Vermont, and I was reading a book that is about an EMP hitting from North Korea, and I'll go over a review of that on another video. But the point of this video is that I got to thinking that here I am far away from home in New Jersey, in Newark Airport International, in very, very urban areas. So you have Newark, you have New York right across the Hudson, and you have various other urban towns around, Elizabeth, New Jersey, etc. Very urban area. What would I do if an EMP hit? And how would I even know that an EMP would hit if the airport power went out? And I would say the first thing that I would probably know that and distinguish that it was an EMP versus a regular power outage is my phone is charged up. It's charged up to nearly 100%. And 100%, and all of a sudden it goes out and it won't start back up. That's how I would know right off that an EMP would hit. I'd probably try and confirm it through some other means, whether, maybe somebody in the airport has information that parts of the town outside of the airport here also are without power, etc. But the telltale sign is to really look at your phone. So what would you do? What would be the first thing that you guys would do? And I'd love to hear what the comments would be, but I could tell you what I would do. I'd probably go to one of the vendors and buy some food and water and try and get out of the airport as fast as I possibly can. And you might have to hoof it for a little bit, but I happen to have friends in this area, probably not more than 5 miles, but which is not that great of a hike. But at the same time, I was thinking, well, what would I do if I didn't have friends around here? I was in the airport, not knowing anybody, not knowing the area like I do here. That would be a little bit more difficult. So you should probably have areas staked out, or various places that you would go to in advance. Have it in your mind in advance and decide what you want to do should something like that hit, if you are as vigilant as I am about that kind of thing. I know not everybody thinks about these things, but I do. And I look at, okay, I'm far from home. I don't have, my normal everyday carry stuff. I basically have a backpack with some clothes, toiletries, and surgical mask in case somebody's sneezing on a plane. So not very much. I have vendors around where, like I said, I'll get some food and water, and I'd probably try and get out of this airport, because I think that it's going to be really hard as days progress to move around the city here if you don't get out as soon as possible. So you have to really assess the situation really quick and get out as soon as possible. And I'd probably go west, because it gets more rural in New Jersey as you go west. Not for a while, but it does. Probably more so than going north toward, New York, or maybe upstate, toward upstate New York might not be so bad. But I'd probably just go toward the west. In any event, how do you get there? So I got to thinking about that. Well, a couple ways. Either you're going to have to find, a bicycle, or find a car that you can catch a ride. You catch a ride from somebody that has a working car, although they're probably going to be few and far between unless they're built before 1985 or less, maybe even less. A lot of people even say like 1980 and below, but I would say that there's selected cars like my military Blazer 84 that is not reliant on the electronics, and that would start after an EMP. So someone with an older car, and I will say that you might be surprised about the good Samaritans that are available and ready to help in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. And I say immediate aftermath, and I'll tell you why I feel like this. I lived in Miami during Hurricane Andrew, 1992, and I was very young then, but at the time, I remember, Miami's the sort of the road rage capital of the world. Nobody lets you go through, let you pass or let you turn or whatever. I mean, yellow light means speed up, red means go if you can, and green, of course, means to fly through. In any event, I remember after Hurricane Andrew, people were really willing to help. I mean, there were some snakes out there, kind of price gouging and things like that with gas and ice, but by and large, people really wanted to help each other. And this, again, is the immediate aftermath, so you can probably consider that as you're trying to get out of the city, good Samaritans willing to help, and maybe offer them something that you have in exchange for their help to help you get out of the city. Now, that said, you can't trust everyone, and you have to assess the situation, but I would say your chances are better getting out of an urban area with some help than trying to hoof it the whole way. Even if you have to buy a bicycle from somebody or a sporting goods store, by no means should you ever try and steal anything. I like to keep my sense of dignity and rule of law even during this kind of crisis as best as I can, unless you're attacked or whatever. But for me, I'm not one to go ahead and, just take whatever I think I should take. It's not my style. And, I try and live that way by not screwing anybody over. So I probably hoof it before I stole something. At the same time, if you're with family, maybe somebody with a family that has small kids and maybe you need medicine, they might think a little bit differently, but I'm not in that situation, so I don't have to worry about that. I mean, my kids are older and none of us take any kind of medication, so I would, if I was with them, I would probably just hoof it out with them. In any event, try and get away as far as you can, and then start making your way at home, towards home. And again, I think of this, the Going Home series about the 240-mile trip that Morgan had to take, and all of the people he met and the things that he had to do in order to get home. And it could get pretty crazy. It could get pretty harrowing. You want to stay off the main roads if you can. Try and stop at a gas station to get a paper map if there's any available. I'm sure if you don't get those really quick, it's going to go really fast because people rely on their GPSs on their phone way too much. So just a little bit of tips, food for thought. I'd be interested to hear what you have to say as far as what would you do if you're in an airport where you don't know the area. How would you get out? In any event, I appreciate you guys listening, and as always, keep prepping. Vermont Prepper out. Take care.